It's an animal world out there. Watch the World Animal Awareness Society channel and feel right at home. Come, sit, subscribe, and stay a while.
Don't worry about your driving. You're good.
Don't crash.
So tell me your name and what your position is with Animal Care Services.
My name is April Moore, and I'm an animal protection supervisor.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been with the City of Austin for 13 years.
Have you been doing the same job that entire 13 years?
I have, yes, I've been in field services for 13 years.
So what is your job? What do you do every day?
Well, I manage the day-to-day operations of the field services unit, the animal protection unit, and sort of oversee the management of the staff, and I also review serious bodily injury cases, dangerous dog cases. I manage the wild animal registry in our county, along with various other things. That's sort of the meat and bones of what this position is responsible for.
Okay. And so how many officers are out in the streets on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, we have about 4 to 6 officers on duty.
And what do they do all day when they're out?
They respond to animal-related complaint calls from citizens. So that could be anything from a bite investigation to a stray roaming dog to an injured animal to orphaned wildlife even. It could just be a whole array of things.
Because Animal Care Services doesn't just take care of dogs, it's every animal.
Right.
Okay. And I heard about some outreach that they do too. What kind of outreach? If they're not going on a specific call, what kind of outreach do they do?
So we do a couple of things. Day to day, anytime they encounter a citizen, let's say, for example, they're going out on a call that's related to a dog that's habitually loose. The intent is to keep that animal home. And so what their job is and what part of the outreach is that they go and they try to determine what barriers exist for that particular citizen. So do they need fencing material? If so, then they connect them with our fencing program. If they need assistance with behavior modification, we can provide them with some assistance there. If they need, help with, just basic care, or maybe they just need some basic education. So they do that kind of outreach on a daily basis. And then periodically we go out and we do what we call sort of little microchip events. And we'll go to a neighborhood, we'll go door to door, and we'll just offer free microchips to citizens. We also have spay-neuter folks. We have spay-neuter outreach, and those folks, they work certain areas, but then we also send referrals to them. So if somebody has, a dog that's habitually, reproducing, and we need to get that
there's one in there,
problem resolved, then we'll refer our spay-neuter outreach folks over to them.
So what, if they're out and there is a roaming dog, what do you think the percentage is of dogs that have a home versus dogs that really don't have a home to go to?
I would say the vast majority of dogs that we deal with within Austin and Travis County are owned. We don't have, as far as I know, a huge feral dog population.
Mm-hmm.
If we do, they're hiding somewhere and I've not found them.
Okay.
But I'd say vast majority of these dogs are owned. Certainly were owned at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this neighborhood where we're at, this is only maybe about 6 streets. It used to be rather isolated. But there are multiple family units that live in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And so the little dog that we just saw up in that one property,
Yep.
we may find him later on later on in the day down here, because this is a cousin's house, and they go down to the cousin's house, to play with the other kids. So we know that even though we're seeing these animals roaming back and forth and all over the place, usually they've got a home base somewhere.
And there's the chickens.
On the right, if we, it looks almost like that's, you guys might have helped build a fence there. It looks like your materials. Do you know if you did? They're back on the right. There's 2 dogs in an enclosure.
I'll turn around.
Looks like you built.
It's certainly possible. With
It might be a good example of the kind of.
with this area, we just recently started, because we're in Travis County, we just recently started providing fencing options, fencing material to folks, but it's certainly possible that we would have provided. Yeah, so this property here, rolling down the window helps. But that's pretty similar to what we would provide folks. We'd provide them with 4x4 posts, the concrete to set it, the chain link, enough to build a 150 square foot enclosure, which is a requirement from the city of Austin for a primary enclosure. And we'd provide them dog houses if they need them. And then once we provide the materials, we give them about 2 to 3 weeks to get them, set in place and get the animal living in the enclosure, and then we come out and inspect it and make sure that it's adequate and that it's keeping the animal contained.
Okay.
Oh, there's 2 dogs in there.
Yeah.
There's a cow down there.
Oh, there is, isn't there? My goodness.
Tethered down.
Now, what are the restrictions? I know we're talking about dogs, but here's a cow that's tethered. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, in Travis County, the laws related to livestock are different than what they are in the city of Austin. Actually, in Travis County, the Travis County Sheriff's Department is responsible for investigations related to livestock or impounding stray livestock. If we were in the city of Austin, this wouldn't be appropriate, and we would be able to talk to them about things like tethering, proper care, providing shelter, access to water. I'm not sure that this particular cow has any access to water, access to nutritious food, things like that.
It's interesting. What is it okay if I have the windows down?
Yeah.
It won't mess up your sound.
No, that should be okay.
Think we're safe?
What?
Think we're safe to go around the barricade?
Oh.
The flooding.
I suspect they just haven't come back through to remove them yet. Little dog's gonna go follow his owner to work. There's one here. Some guy's napping.
Can I jump out for a minute? He's coming with us. Oh, he really is.
Awesome.
I'll go in the back seat. That's
How you
fine.
doing? Y'all know who owns this dog by chance?
What?
Y'all know who owns this dog by chance?
No, I just came out here.
This dog, we're filming some free roaming dogs.
All right.
This guy just
This
comes
is
in the
hilarious.
car.
Hi, come here, buddy. Come here,
He's
boy.
neutered.
Yeah, you're so cute. Look at those tiny little buggers.
Did you see he's neutered and really happy?
Come here. Hi.
Sí, están ahí adentro.
Pequeños y grandes, pero
Oh, sí, ya tiene la vacuna, nomás que no le han puesto la medalla. Pero no es malo. Él no es malo, cuida en la noche.
sí. No,
Sí,
es muy bueno.
sí, es bien buena gente. Nomás cuando se va mi hijo Manuel, lo amarra de allí porque se quiere ir. Corre y corre detrás de él en el carro. Pero es bueno él.
Okay. Un momento.
Está bien. Sí, porque descanso. Que le digo que ando limpiando.
Look at you.
Ya se quiere ir a pasear. Vente, chihuahua. Vénganse para acá, para adentro, váyanse para allá.
Active with everybody. So
I'm gonna have you start over and say all that again. So
So-
what did she say?
now, granted, my Spanish isn't great, but what I understood is that the dogs, the little dogs, and this particular dog all belong here at this residence. And normally the dog is tied up over at that chain where you saw the chain and the wire at the edge of the fence. And he got off the chain. Usually, I guess her son ties the dog up, not because he's mean, but just because he
Keep him safe.
he just gets into a lot of stuff.
Obviously. Obviously,
I
he gets
imagine-
into a lot of stuff. He's in
I
your car.
imagine he welcomes himself in the house and things like that. And he's quite the curious little guy. But I'm going to see if we can help her out with some fencing and help her keep this guy contained. But my Spanish isn't that great, so I got to use my handy dandy translator here.
Ready? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Ready?
Puppy.
Let's go.
Hi.
Let's go. Let's go. Oh, hop up here, please.
And so this is instructions that you would leave with her as well?
So this explains the county laws, which she may or may not be aware of. And then, so that just kind of gives her a basis for our conversation and an understanding for why we stopped and why we're on her property. And then from there, I'll ask her if I can help with fencing, and if we can, if that's something that she's needing assistance with, I will get her in contact with the folks that can help arrange that, which is one of my field staff that's assigned to the tethering neglect unit.
Pero no sé leer.
Okay.
Pero
Todos aquellos que sean dueños de algún perro son responsables.
responsabilidad.
Yes.
Sí.
De contener de manera.
Sí, yo se lo doy a él cuando llegue, para que lo lea, él si sabe inglés. Sí,
So he's got to stay contained. He's got to be on the property.
sí.
Podemos ayudarle con vallas,
Con valles.
fencing,
Oh,
to
sí.
keep him contained. Yeah.
Sí, yo los míos, yo tengo dos.
Mhm.
Y de entre 2 semanas los llevo de vuelta a las vacunas. Tengo 2, pero yo los tengo encerrados en mi cuarto.
Okay.
Ahorita andaba clines porque le tiendo carpetas, esas azules, les tiendo. Y ahorita andaba limpiando y echándolas. Y ahorita ya nomás ando barriendo para acá.
Okay.
Sí, yo los tengo encerrados. Él también los deja encerrados,
Mhm.
pero yo creo que se salieron.
Okay. Okay.
Yo le digo a él cuando llegue,
Okay.
¿de dónde vienen ustedes?
All right. Voy a tener que llamar a la Agüín, okay, para la valla.
Oh, para la cerca.
Mhm.
Sí.
Yeah.
Ajá.
Okay.
Sí, para hacerles un círculo.
Mhm.
Sí, un círculo buscarles una sombra.
Yeah.
Ujú.
¿Cuál es su?
Yo, mi nombre, bueno, el nombre de él es Manuel
Manuel?
Pineda.
¿Cuál es el número?
El número de su teléfono,
Mhm.
ay, no lo sé.
Okay.
Pero andan en esta escuela de aquí cerquitas, el school, de aquí
Oh, okay.
cerquitas, allí anda.
Okay. Okay.
No sé si ya mero llegue,
Okay.
pero usted me puede dejar su número y yo se lo doy a él
Let's do
para que
this.
le hable. Sí, más fácil. Sí, porque así le digo, aquí te dejaron el número para que hables.
Okay.
Está bien feliz el perro. Ajá. Oh, este es su nombre tuyo.
You can have that. That's for you.
Este es el nombre de él. Sí, cuando vengan yo se los doy las gracias. ¿Dónde va a querer bajar? Bien feliz que está, bien sentado.
Buddy, buddy, buddy. You have to stay home. I got treats. Come on.
You coming for treats?
Come on. Come on. Come on. There you go. What a good boy. What a good boy.
Dos,
There you go.
para cuando ellos se van, lo amarran y ya luego se lo quitan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, usted. Muchas gracias. Ten.
He's wonderful.
Ya se le quedó viendo que le trajo comida.
I'm going to ask you to spend a little bit more time with her. Dee, I'm going to ask you to back off for a minute.
All right.
He almost took out my coffee. It's been a tragedy.
So the result of this is that you'll get some information to her on fencing?
We will. I've actually worked with her before. Years ago, I cited her for loose chihuahuas. She's been out here at least a decade, probably longer. But she's always sort of been in a bad way. She doesn't have electricity here. I don't know that she has water. Her son has an injury that prevents him from working, but he does do some. He's put up this fence with some building materials that the neighbors have given him. But they're certainly willing to comply. They just, they have barriers, financial barriers, physical barriers, illness. So I told her that I would send somebody back by. They don't have a phone. So we're going to have one of our Spanish-speaking officers come back by. I'll probably ask that one of our Spanish-speaking spay neuter outreach folks come with, because the big dog is new. The Chihuahuas, one or two of those guys might be new to her property. So, if we can knock out fencing and spay neuter and vaccination all at the same time, then that's what we'll do. So,
Do you think those were the only 2 Chihuahuas, or did she have more?
oh no,
in
she
the
had
house?
more.
Okay.
She had more. She had 4 that I counted, and there was still somebody barking in the house. So
Okay.
she has both those mobiles and then sort of like a dog run in between them. So there was something barking in this mobile on the left. But anyway,
They looked healthy and
They are
happy.
healthy, yeah.
The one was happy to jump in the car here with us.
yeah. She said that's why he stays tied up a lot of the time, because he just sort of welcomes himself wherever. And one of her, the mobile on the right side doesn't have a door. It just has a cloth leading in. So I suspect for a dog like our little friend that can just, welcome himself inside and climb up on whatever he pleases, I imagine that can get frustrating for her. So hopefully, if we get her some fencing, that'll sort of alleviate some of the stressors she's experiencing with him.
That's good. Good.
Sure, but you can't let that frustration take over in the moment. Like, you have to be able to read the person you're talking to de-escalate them, connect with them in some way.
What are you thinking when you do that? Like when somebody's angry at you and just being mean.
I'm trying to find some way to connect with them.
But why is that important to you?
Because if they connect with me and I connect with them, they're less likely to cause harm to me.
Yeah.
And they're more willing to engage in a conversation with me. If they don't give 2 toots about me or where I come from or my life, we're not going to get anywhere. But, this lady, she was super frustrated about the dogs marking in the house, so I went with that. I acknowledged and validated the frustration that comes with that sort of thing, and how it stinks when you don't get to pick the pet that you want because, her son brought this dog home, and, instead of trying to convince her what a great dog what a great dog this particular dog was, I just sort of agreed with her that it, put her in a really bad situation, and she connected with that.
Dad, I hear you're recording for the World Awareness Society. What is that?
Yeah, you mean World Animal Awareness Society? Well, I'm a volunteer with the World Animal Awareness Society, Emerson. I volunteer my voice for use in animal rescue videos. And I don't know if you know this, but everyone at the World Animal Awareness Society is a volunteer.
But what do they do?
They're award-winning volunteer filmmakers who have interacted with 2,200 animal welfare nonprofits, including Maddie's Fund and Austin Pets Alive, providing information-rich content to more than 45 countries in the last 10 years.
Dad, what's that mean?
Okay, Em, how about this? They make short movies about animals that are in peril, that are hurting, in bad shape or dying, or homeless in the streets. They film rescuers doing heroic work so they can focus on saving lives. The World Animal Awareness Society posts the rescue videos on social media, and then they're broadcast on TV, sharing the heroic stories with people all over the world so they can understand what's really going on.
Cool. I like animals. How did you start volunteering?
Well, I met their director through social media and saw the work that they were doing and knew that I could help their cause. So I asked if I could volunteer. I am very fortunate to have really great jobs providing the voice to so many shows that I believe it's important to give back. Since I've been volunteering with the World Animal Awareness Society, they have created the 7th most influential YouTube channel for dog rescue lovers in the world, WA2S Films.
That's so cool. Hey, Dad, nice job. Do you think I could volunteer too?
You already are, Em. You already are.
You're watching the World Animal Awareness Society.
Yep, that'll do, Emerson. That'll do.
You're watching the World Animal Awareness Society.